And we are live on Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. It is Tuesday, July the 28th of 2020. Another week of remote living, remote working. Are you liking it out there? Well, we're one way or another, we're doing it. And we're glad to be with you for the next half hour with your HCC news and information. We got some great guests on the show. We're going to talk to them in a moment. But first, I want to introduce my co-host for the day. You know, Brittany Pacheco is on vacation. Frank Cooper usually joins us on today. Now he's co-host for the day. Frank Cooper, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Todd. Thank you for having me. I know Brittany's only 5'1", but she has big shoes to fill, so I'll try my best to fill in them.
It's always good to have you on the show, Frank. I'm interested to get your take. Did you get to watch any sports over the weekend?
I did. I watched a little bit of baseball. It was weird. It was weird.
It was a little weird. We've been updating everybody on Frank's take because Frank's a huge sports fan. So let's I want to get your take later on in the show. We can kind of revisit this and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But you know, Frank, we got some special guests on the show today. One of them is Kris Mixon, and Kris is the Emerging 100 of Houston president. I want to introduce you this morning. Good morning, Kris.
Hey, good morning, Todd. Good morning, Frank.
How you doing, Kris?
Well, you know, Frank, we also got another special guest on the show.
We do.
And I'll go ahead and introduce him. Travis Bryant is his name. He works for HCC. He's a senior financial analyst for Treasury operations, and he's also the public relations chair for the Emerging 100 of Houston. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Todd. Good morning, Frank. How are you this morning?
We're good, Travis, and yourself?
Doing wonderful. Staying safe.
And I must say, man, shout out to Travis's mom, Willie Bryant, man. She's one of the coolest, most loving people on this planet. She's one of our leaders at HCCTV, man. And you know, looking at you, Travis, man, I know you're a great guy because you know your mother's a great person. So shout out to your mom.
Well, Frank, I tend to agree with you on that.
And Travis, I know we talked about it earlier, but I know she's on vacation this week. I hope she's watching at home. I have a feeling she probably is watching right now. So we're going to tell your mom good morning. Good morning, Willie. We miss you up at work, and we look forward to seeing you after your vacation. So Travis, we want to talk to you about the reason you're here to talk with us about today, the Emerging 100 of Houston. Tell us about this organization.
Well, Todd, the Emerging 100 of Houston is the auxiliary organization of the 100 Black Men. We have 7 chapters in different cities throughout the United States. With the Emerging chapter, we have one in Houston, we have one in St. Louis, we have one in Atlanta. So basically, our mission is to support the initiatives of the 100 Black Men of America. Now, we have a different age demographic. The 100 Black Men of America is for 35 and up, and our age demographic is from 24 to 35. And then we also have Collegiate 100, which is stationed at several colleges throughout the nation as well for college-age students.
Travis, what will most people who are in the program or in the organization, what do they like most about being part of that organization?
Well, I think the major selling point with us is, of course, the Emerging 100 gives you an opportunity to give back to the community. It's an all-Black male organization. Which is also beneficial for allowing us to directly impact and directly relate to the African-American community within ourselves.
Kris, I want to ask you, what type of programs, and Travis was talking about giving back to the community, what type of programs are involved with this, and what are the ways that you can give back or get involved with your community?
Yeah, great question. So we have tons of programs, to be honest. But most recently, this past weekend, we partnered with Microsoft, and they had about a 3-hour session where they actually taught kids how to code an application or build their own application. We also have another partnership with Toyota called Let's Plug In, and that's basically get around like mental health awareness. So making sure that Black boys have the opportunity to speak with therapists and kind of get some things off their chest, and it's okay to kind of talk about things, right? But we also do Project Tux, which is, you know, giving away tuxedos to kids in college, or developing them into leaders, distinguished gentlemen, things like that.
If I could ask a follow-up to that, does this involve a mentorship programs as well?
Absolutely. So we have our flagship mentorship program is called Emerge Academy, and we partner with the school, which this year is Sterling High School. But it's basically a program where they come in as freshmen and they transition all the way through as a senior. But each month we meet with the kids and kind of go through different topics and sessions based on the curriculum that we come up with. And kind of like the goal is to kind of gear them up and prepare them for whatever they plan on doing post high school. So whether that's going to college or trade school or even wanting to be an entrepreneur, our goal is to kind of prepare them for those next steps.
Because I think it's huge that that Emerging 100 is so influential in the Black community, especially with things going on as far as social issues with Black and brown folks. That this is a very prestigious environment for young Black boys. Talk about some of your organizational accomplishments that the organization has done so far with Emerging 100.
Oh, wow. So we've actually grown pretty rapidly over the last, I'd say probably 3 years. Around the time Travis actually came in is kind of when we really started moving head on, right? But I mean, we're now at about 63 members. We started off with about 6 or 7. Most recently, one thing that I'm really proud of is our solutions program that we did around Black Lives Matter. And we brought in Mayor Sylvester Turner, our chairman from the 100 Black Men of America. We had some HPD officers, attorneys, kind of different people from around the community to kind of talk about what was going on with George Floyd and just voting rights and how people can make an impact. And not only let's just talk about it, but what solutions can we actually find and implement to make a change in the world, basically.
You know, Kris, you hit the nail on the head for me because everyone can sit around and talk about things and have discussions endlessly, but finding a solution is really where we all need to find some middle ground to find solutions to the problems that we have right now.
Correct. I totally agree. Yep.
Let's talk about some of the outreach that you've had since COVID has started. And Travis, I'm going to direct this to you. We're all working virtually right now. You're doing this with HCC, and many of us are doing. In fact, the whole college is right now. How has your program been able to reach out virtually and continue functioning?
Well, Todd, what we find ourselves doing is we've had to move our programs that we used to have in person directly to virtual meetings. A good example is the Cracking the Code, which is the coding program that we just put on this past weekend. Last year, it was an in-person session where kids actually showed up to the location and they were able to design a video game, their own video game. Well, this year, because of COVID-19, we had to move all our programming online. The same thing with the Let's Plug In. Let's Plug In is a completely virtual environment to where we're allowing teenagers to plug in and have one-on-one sessions with an actual licensed therapist. So it's been kind of a challenge. We are a social organization. We like to meet people directly face-to-face from our mentees on up. But because of the circumstances, we've had no choice. We've had to figure out how to move all our programs virtually.
Travis, for your organization in general, is there a graduation ceremony of some sort that the young men go through once they're done?
Yes, we do have a ceremony once they complete the mentorship program. That's more directly with Metro 100. I think Kris can give a more insight on that part because he's more familiar with that.
Yeah, so we're talking about our mentees specifically. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So we do a number of things that kind of it's more like intimate with the family and friends, immediate friends, right? But there is like a ceremony where they will graduate, and we give them, depending on how long they've been with the program, they may or may not get a scholarship. But it kind of varies each year, to be honest. It's kind of changed, and we haven't actually figured out what we're going to do this year because we're kind of in a different environment now. So we got to figure that one out.
We saw some pictures of you teaching young men how to tie a Windsor knot, and I'm going to have to learn how to do that myself. I can't do a Windsor knot, but I imagine this speaks over broader terms like lessons in life and things we all need to learn. Do you work with young men to learn these life skills?
Yeah, for sure. So one of our programs is called the Distinguished Gentleman, and that program specifically helps the young men, for one, learn how to tie a tie, right, or the right way to wear a blazer if it's too tight, too loose. Dining etiquette. So when you sit at the table, which hand does the fork go in? Where does the knife go? Where do you sit your cup? How do you actually cut your food? Things like that. Or even just, how to speak, when you're in a public setting, and when it's okay to wear sneakers versus dress shoes. I mean, the list goes on, but yeah, we do have a program designed around that as well too.
And if I could follow up, is there a way of wearing a suit too tight? Because it seems like nowadays the suits are all slim and the skinny model, and the pants are getting tighter. That's just the style now.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of a skinny suit. I'll be honest. So we talk about that. I think there's different cuts. So you have skinny, slim, extra skinny, or just regular cut as well too. So we do talk about that. I think it's based off the individual's preference, or sometimes the right occasion. For a professional setting, you may not want to wear a suit as skinny. It needs to be maybe more of a slim or a regular cut for work.
Frank, are you a skinny suit guy?
You know what? I have not tried the skinny suit avenue just yet. I'm more of a slim fit guy. I'm kind of nervous. I don't want to split my pants wearing a skinny suit. I might need to join Emerging 100 just to get it. More background information about what suits I should wear and what different occasions.
Yeah, no, it just depends on your preference for sure. But the skinny suits, it's more like elastic that's in the pants, so you'll be good. Yeah.
Well, if I do go that route, that week in the gym, I gotta get right and tight. Parts of my body showing, I'm gonna be showing. Kris, so for Emerging 100, for those who are not in the program but want to assist and donate and help out, what avenues can they take?
Yeah, so occasionally we have programs that are open to the public that will allow people to come support and things like that. But financially, they can donate through our website. It just goes to emerging100hcx.org/me100, or they can reach out to us via email or our Instagram, which is emerging100hcx. All those different platforms, of course, we will receive the help, donations, or like right now we have a school supply drive getting ready to come up. So we are always looking for help in all different ways, for sure.
Awesome.
Travis, let me ask you this, Travis. Do you guys have a galas or fundraising events on an annual or semi-annual basis, and are you planning one coming up?
Yes, Todd. Up until this point, our number one fundraiser was our Bay Party, which stands for Black and Educated. It's our social event. This would have been our 4th year doing it, but because of COVID-19, of course, a lot of the venues are being closed due to social distancing. So we're trying to figure out other ways to hold those type of events. We were in the process of planning our first annual gala this year, which will be later on around November, December. So we're trying to gauge the climate with the virus to see if this is something that is feasible, because of course we definitely would like to hold these events, but our number one priority is everyone's safety.
Yeah, that's a priority for all of us right now. And this is uncharted territory that we're all in right now, and not knowing when life is going to get back to some sort of normal. Gentlemen, we appreciate you both being here today. And before you go, Kris, I want to ask you one final question. How important is it for one to get involved in the community?
I think it's extremely important. So we are a product of our community, right? So the more people that give back and put into it, I think the better we can all be, the better our children can be, and the world will be if we all give back in some way.
Very, very nice. I appreciate that. And we're going to wrap things up on that answer right now. Kris and Travis, of course, Kris Mixon is the president of Emerging 100 of Houston, and Travis Bryant, Emerging 100 of Houston, the public relations chair. We appreciate you both being here. Travis, make sure you tell your mom I said hello.
I sure will. I'm pretty sure she hears you.
That's right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure, man. You guys be safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So, Frank, it is important for one to get involved. And, all of us have busy lifestyles. We get caught up in work. And like before we were on the air, you were saying, you were answering a lot of social media questions. We can get bogged down, but we all have to take that time out, step back, get involved with the community. Because as Kris was saying, we all grow up in this community where many of us grew up here, we, raised children here, and we have to give back in one way or another.
Absolutely, absolutely, Todd. I think for people who live in the community, we got to take it personal. And what I mean by that is that kids coming up after us, kids grew up in the same neighborhoods as we did, same playgrounds, went to the same schools. We got to look out for them in order for our community to flourish and reach its highest potential. So I totally agree with what Kris and Travis are talking about.
Incredible organization. If you'd like to learn more about that, we're going to have their web address in the social media post for the show. And while you're watching this show, do us a favor, hit the button, share the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us at Houston Community College District on YouTube. You'll find all of our videos for HCCTV because we do put a lot of them out there. Frank, the fall semester is getting underway a little less than a month from now, and some things you'll need to know going into the fall. Of course, we have announced earlier this summer 4 ways of learning in the fall. Those are still going to happen, but in a different way. First off, semester begins August 24th, still begins on time, but all classes, Frank, are going to be virtual for the first 6 weeks.
Absolutely. And also flex and lab-based students should still enroll, but will be online first and restricted to 9 students per class for social distancing purposes. So early registration right now is a great idea. So please get on the ball about trying to register for the semester, guys.
Online and on a schedule and online anytime, those 2 options for those modalities for learning, they are not impacted because they're online. Online on a schedule is a little different. You can say you have a class at 10:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can go to that class, see your professor face-to-face live, interact with your classmates. So it's more of a live experience. The online anytime is just the way it sounds. You can watch your class anytime you want and complete it online anytime. September 28th, that's another date to keep in mind, September 28th, because faculty for in-person classes return to campus on September 28th to prepare for flex campus and lab-based learning. And October 5th, Frank, is another big day.
Absolutely. In-person flex, campus, and lab-based courses begin, but everyone required to follow safety protocols, including wearing a face mask, coverings, passing individual screenings as well. We're trying to keep everybody safe and sound, guys, so please follow these protocols, man, because we don't want this COVID to spread. And decisions about support student services reopening will be made closer to October 5th. We'll provide updates as we get them.
Of course, all of our financial aid, student services, registration, enrollment, counseling, advising, all of that is available online. And Frank, I know you probably heard this last week, but Student Services has a virtual lobby now. They're about to launch a Zoom component with that in the next couple of weeks, where you'll be able to meet face-to-face with someone through Zoom in the virtual lobby.
I think that's very, very huge because we're getting flooded on social media about what's going to happen, what's to come. So for those who have questions about that, check out Virtual Lobby. It's a great and safe way to get information regarding HCC activities around the campuses.
And I know you've also posted a video that HCCTV shot showing people what the campuses will look like when they return as far as the social distancing. And that's posted in social media and also on YouTube?
Absolutely. It's on YouTube channel and social media, Facebook and Twitter for sure.
So look for that as well. If you want to get an idea of what the campuses are going to be like when you return, make sure you get to class. If you're going to be taking in-person classes, certainly sign up far ahead of time. Now's the time to register to get those classes because they're going to be smaller sizes. But also keep in mind, you might want to arrive a lot earlier than you normally would because there's some screening things we're going to be doing before you get on the campuses to just ensure safety for everyone. Frank, there's still a big need for COVID testing in the Houston area, and HCC has 4 sites currently active where one can get tested.
Absolutely. The first two sites is Felix Fraga Campus, which is 301 North Drennan Street, and then also Eastside Campus, which is 6815 Rustic. Both those southeastern sites open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. No appointment is needed at either of these two locations. The other two HCC sites, HCC Northeast Campus, which is 55 Community College Drive, and HCC South Campus, which is 1990 Airport Boulevard. Those two campuses are open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So those two campuses, Saturday is the last day that those are open throughout the week.
Weekly enrollment information sessions. If you are attending HCC in the fall and you haven't taken one of these sessions and say you're a first-time student, you need to take a session because you will get some questions answered. Anything you want to know about testing, admissions, operation, financial aid, things like that, scholarships. Well, you can attend one of these sessions. Sign up for it at hccs.edu/information sessions. The next one is noon on Wednesday, but they're having them weekly until the semester begins. And Frank, we're less than a month away from our virtual convocation. This is the first one we've done virtually.
Yeah, it's the first of its kind. I'm very, very excited. Like, I know convocation is a great way to showcase company morale throughout the organization. If this any year, this is the year that we really need it as far as morale, trying to keep people's spirits up. A lot of crazy things are going on in this world, man. So we're just trying to keep people together, man. Let them know that, hey, you guys matter, and let's try to keep it going the best way we can.
And it's called We're All Connected. That is the theme for HC's virtual convocation. Registration's open right now. It runs through Monday, August 17th. You have a little time to register. I'd advise you to do so. We've got a number of people registered to watch this convocation. We're also going to have a little interactive session where you can ask questions with the administration. So we were working on that as well. The HCC faculty and staff virtual coffee breaks, those happen, I believe, Frank, next one is Tuesday, July 28th, which is today.
Yes, sir. Yeah, David Cross, who's director of EEO and compliance, he will be leading that charge. And if you can't make this one today, we have one Thursday, July 30th. Richard Gosselin, who's the interim dean of social and behavior sciences, he's leading that charge. So grab a cup of coffee and join Janet May and her guests to discuss adapting to remote work and answering your questions.
Sports boot camps, they are happening through HCC Rec Sports from noon to 12:40. Frank's excited about that. Tuesdays and Thursdays this week, 7:28 and 7:30. Current HCC students, faculty, staff, you must have an HCCS email. It's free. You can register today at christian.andrews@hccs.edu. Subject line in your email, Virtual Fitness Summer 2020. They'll get you started and you can start these boot camps. Speaking of sports, let's go back to what we were talking about at the top because baseball's back, Frank. And the weird thing about it, there are cutouts in the stands of fans, no fans in the stands, no real fans, and they're piping in cheering noises.
Yeah, like I mean, I get it. You're trying your best to simulate a game environment, but it's hard to simulate 45,000 screaming fans in the stadium with a dozen cutouts. Look, I'm totally fine with complete silence. I mean, I don't need the simulation of noise. I just want to hear the crack of the baseball being hit, guys sliding to second and third. Natural sounds is fine with me. Natural VO, as they say in the broadcast and journalism sector.
I mean, it puts more attention, at least I think, on the game. But the big question is going to be when basketball starts, because there'll be no fans in the stands there. I don't think the exhibition games have started yet, have they? Have you seen any basketball games?
Yeah, they've had scrimmages starting last week, and the bubble is nobody on the sideline outside of the players and a couple coaches and stuff, but it's very serene. There's no fan noise. You can hear guys yelling and screaming and things of that nature, but it's totally fine. But back to baseball, man. I'm not sure if you heard, Todd. Sunday, the Marlins had the Florida Marlins had 4 positive cases, and they still played on Sunday. They kept it in house, and now the cases went up to 9. So they had to postpone I think the series that started yesterday. I'm like, and this is my fear. Like, I think basketball has it right as far as having everybody stationed in one place inside of a bubble. baseball, because these guys are still playing in their respective stadiums. You're traveling across state and across the nation. Like, it's just not safe. I'd rather you just reserve 12 fields in Arizona or in Florida and just go at it like that.
Yeah, I see the bubble possibly working. I mean, COVID seems to find its way into places. You hear about these stories about these people who have been home quarantined for like 15 weeks, haven't left the house, get their food delivered, and they still catch COVID. So it's still getting around. The baseball guys are traveling. They're still in some shape or form interacting with some public. I understand the bubble, but how much longer is baseball going to be able to deal with this? They've had to postpone a game. And because of COVID, like you mentioned, half the team turned up with COVID. What happens? Because this is inevitable. How do you carry on a season when you've got your main stars or your players that are getting sick and having to quarantine, even if they're just testing positive?
Yeah, and that's a question that needs to be answered, because I know Rob Manfred and the Players Union, they discuss about, guys being quarantined for 10 days and expanding rosters. Well, what happens when half the team gets sick? What do you do then? And if a team gets sick, you're canceling series. You have to make those games up, right? Like, everybody has to play 60 games.
It's a shortened season to begin with.
Yeah. So how do you make up for games that are being canceled or postponed? Like, do you add them to a later series if it's a road game? Like the Yankees got sick, and then toward the end of the year, do you play a home game and add those 3 games that they missed in the first place? It's a very slippery slope, to say the least.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses. I still, I'm sorry, I just still think it's not going to work. If people are getting sick or testing positive, even if they're asymptomatic and they're testing positive, they still have to quarantine for a couple of weeks. It's just, it's a touchy situation. And football, man, that's right around the corner. The NBA, the NFL is saying they're going to allow some fans in the stands, but then some of the owners are saying, no, it's not going to happen. And then some players are saying, I'm not playing. And some players are saying, okay, we'll try it out. It's just a big mess is really what it is right now, because it doesn't seem to be a plan set in stone, because they just don't know.
No, they don't. And when you have players fighting back and going on social media screaming for answers, like, hey, we don't know what's going on, we need answers, and you're not giving any answers. Like, training camp starts this weekend, I believe. I think veterans report Saturday. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, Todd, if 40 or 50% of the players don't report until they get a concrete answer or documentation of how this is going to go about. They haven't rolled out any like plans as far as like upgrading the equipment, whether they're wearing screens or anything like that. Nothing has come out yet. So it's just a PR firestorm, man. And if they don't get this under wraps, you might have players drop out and not come back to 2021.
Well, I keep hearing, J.J. Watt said it about a month ago, if they make him play with a face mask or a mask, he's going to opt out for the season. And I don't blame him. And I think we'll see a lot of other players doing the same thing, to say, stay safe, keep their family safe, keep their health, because, their body, is a multi-million-dollar machine. It is really what it is in a lot of cases. And that's their livelihood and their family's livelihood.
Absolutely. And to piggyback off your point, not just that their bodies are $1 million investments, but they have kids, they have wives, they have families. You don't want to, play a 3-hour game and come back and affect your wife and daughter or son. It becomes bigger than football, and it becomes bigger than sports. We've had all-star guys like Buster Posey sit out and Mike Trout sit out, and these are premier players in the game, and they're saying, look, my family's more important. My family's health is more important than me playing 60 games in a season. I could sit out and miss on the financial benefits because my health is more important. So,
and I don't blame them in one shape or form. I don't blame them.
No, not at all. I'm a big sports fan, but this transcends sports. This is, when it comes to livelihood and health, that's my priority over sports. So.
Absolutely. You know, Frank, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out. And I guess we'll learn in about a month or so when football gets underway, if they make it through a training camp without canceling the sport. It's been a strange year so far, folks. So just hang on for the rest of the ride. We got another few months to go through this. Tomorrow on the show, we've got the Dean of Global Energy, Center of Excellence. He has a lot to tell us about his programs and how they serve oil and gas, energy, medical, and manufacturing industries, all that and more. And then also we'll talk about jobsnowhouston.org, the initiative. So Frank, I know you'll be off tomorrow, or you'll be working. You won't be on the show tomorrow, but tune in tomorrow because we got a big show tomorrow.
I mean, if you give me an off day, I'm totally fine with that too. I'm not gonna fight you on that, Todd.
Okay, sure. Take the day off. Why not? You got the day off tomorrow. You already got the day off. You got the day off. Nathan can take the day off. All right, Frank, thanks for being here today and filling in for Brittany.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thanks, Todd.
And thank you for joining us on Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. live on Up to the Minute.